Holly Johnson. William Holly Johnson, born 9 February 1960, is an English artist, musician, and writer, best known as the lead vocalist of Frankie Goes to Hollywood, who achieved huge commercial success in the mid-1980s. Prior to that, in the late 1970s, he was a bassist for the band Big in Japan. In 1989, Johnson's debut solo album, Blast, reached #1 in the UK albums chart. Two singles from the album, Love Train and Americanos, reached the top 5 of the UK singles chart. In the 1990s, he also embarked on writing, painting, and printmaking careers. Biography. Johnson was born on 9 February 1960 in Liverpool, England, to Eric and Patney McLauchlin Johnson. His paternal grandfather Patrick was Irish and his maternal grandfather Patrick McLauchlin was of 3/4 Indian descent. Johnson was the third of 4 children and was nicknamed Billy as a child. He started his education in Liverpool at St. Mary's Church of England Primary School, and at age 11 went to the Liverpool Collegiate School in Everton. At 14, Johnson took on the name Holly, inspired by actress Holly Woodlawn, a friend of Andy Warhol. During his second year at the Liverpool Collegiate, Johnson and his friend were teased and nicknamed Jolly Johnson and Honey Heath. The two shared an interest in Mark Bolan and David Bowie. While he attended Liverpool Collegiate, Johnson was actively involved in that city's punk rock/new wave scene of the late 1970s. Johnson played bass with the local band Big in Japan and also released 2 solo singles on the Eric's label. Both Yankee Rose and Hobo Joe failed to chart, however. Johnson met his partner, Wolfgang Kuhl, in the early 1980s. Kuhl, Johnson's personal manager, became a successful art dealer and collected paintings by Duncan Grant and Vanessa Bell. In 1982, Johnson joined Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and he later found fame as the lead singer and lyricist of the band. In 1987, tension grew between Johnson and the rest of his group. He also had an argument with his record company and won a case in court against them on restraint of trade. He left Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and the other members of the band were eventually let go by the label after the court case ZTT and Perfect Songs v. Holly Johnson. In 1991, Johnson was diagnosed with HIV and wrote an autobiography, A Bone in My Flute. He did not expect to live much longer. Johnson remained creative, working as a painter and printmaker and writing songs, till 1994, when he returned to performing music occasionally. One of Johnson's paintings appears as the cover to the Kirsty MacColl single Angel. Frankie Goes to Hollywood. After gaining some measure of local celebrity from being a member of Big in Japan, Johnson became involved with a group of younger musicians who together would become the nucleus of Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Johnson himself named the new band after seeing the headline of an article about Frank Sinatra. This new band quickly gained a reputation for their stage show, which had strong sadomasochistic overtones. It was during this period that guitarist Brian Nash and backing vocalist Paul Rutherford completed the band's established lineup. Commercial success and fame. After the band's reputation grew large enough to attract record company interest, they were eventually signed to a new record company, CTT. Johnson became exposed to the general public via the phenomenal success of their debut single Relax, which was a huge and controversial hit in 1984. After such success during 1984, when the band spent nearly 4 months at the top of the singles chart, Johnson was firmly established as a household name. By autumn 1986, his star had faded considerably. Frankie Goes to Hollywood had not released any material since early 1985, and were absent from that year's Live Aid event. In addition, he did not perform on the successful charity single Do They Know It's Christmas by Band Aid in December 1984. By 1987, his relationship with the rest of the band had broken down irretrievably, not helped by his decision to gain legal rights to exclusive use of the band's name without consultation with other members. The UK Intellectual Property Office ruled against Mr. Johnson, however, and during a reunion on the TV show Bands Reunited many years later, refused to perform with them, but did not rule out a future possibility. In his own words, "If it happens, we do it properly. We have a reputation. I'm not a wedding singer." Solo career and later projects. Johnson left Frankie Goes to Hollywood in 1987 because of disagreements regarding their musical direction. He became the subject of an injunction from the group's record company, ZTT Records, and its sister publishing company, Perfect Songs, which cited a breach of his prior recording and publishing contracts, thus barring him from pursuing a solo career with any other new label. He embarked on a 2-year legal battle with ZTT, the case being settled in Johnson's favor on 10 February 1988, the judge ruling that the original contracts had constituted an unreasonable restraint of trade, remarking that Mr. Johnson could be 70 years old and still be bound to this contract. ZTT unsuccessfully appealed against the judge's decision, the appeal court concluding on 26 July 1989 that the original recording and publishing contracts were not a fair bargain. The result represented a landmark legal outcome, contemporary press reports stating that the result set a legal precedent which rocked the music business, adding that ZTT had by this time released most of its artists from their original contracts. Johnson's relationship with ZTT owners Trevor Horn and Jill Sinclair broke down irretrievably due to the court case. Horn and Sinclair, have never really forgiven me for winning my freedom in the law courts, the singer said in 2001, adding that the worst part of being in FGTH was the contract we signed with ZTT. In 1989, Johnson finally made his first solo debut with the album Blast for MCA Records. Singles Love Train, Americanos and Atomic City met with warm reception, the former two both charting in the UK top 5. Johnson took part in a charity project for the Hillsborough Disaster Fund and recorded a popular single Ferry Cross the Mersey with Paul McCartney, the Christians and others. The single reached #1 in the UK and Ireland. For the 1990 remix album Hallelujah, Johnson released his second solo album in 1991. Dreams That Money Can't Buy was a commercial failure and did not chart in the UK, while the singles Where Has Love Gone and Across the Universe performed very poorly on UK singles chart. In November 1991, Johnson learned that he was HIV positive. This triggered a temporary withdrawal from the music business and public life in general, with one of his last TV performances around the time being at the Diamond Record Awards, Antwerp, where he performed Americanos and Where Has Love Gone. His HIV status was made public during an interview with The Times in April 1993. In March 1994, Johnson's critically acclaimed autobiography A Bone in My Flute was published, in which he discusses his struggle with and acceptance of his homosexuality. The same year, he recorded a new single, Legendary Children All of Them Queer, whose lyrics referred to famous LGBT people throughout history. During 1994, he performed live at London's Gay Pride show, where he performed Relax, Legendary Children and The Power of Love. The same month, Johnson featured on and co-wrote the single Love and Hate by Yuichi Sakamoto for his album Sweet Revenge. In April 1998, He performed The Power of Love live at the Easter Gay happening in Krefeld, Germany at Club Königsberg. Since the mid-1990s, Johnson has worked primarily as a painter. His works have been exhibited at the Tate Liverpool and the Royal Academy. He has contributed to Modern Painters and the Paul Smith-sponsored Carlos magazine. He made a musical comeback in 1999 with a self-released album called Soulstream, preceded by the 1998 promo-only single Hallelujah. The video for the first available single, Disco Heaven, featured a cameo performance from Boy George. However, the album passed fairly unnoticed and didn't chart. The only charting single from Soulstream was a new version of The Power of Love. For the release of Soulstream, Johnson appeared on the Jools Holland show performing The Power of Love and performed the song again in 2004 for ZDF Love Songs. In August 2009, Johnson presented an hour-long show in the beginning on BBC Radio 2 about the Beatles, whilst he also appeared in the new video for Frankie Goes to Hollywood's Relax as the DJ. Since then, he has performed The Power of Love twice in Germany, also performing the song at the opening of Life Ball 2011 in Vienna. In an interview at the Q Awards, Johnson announced plans for an album of new material. In 2010, Johnson performed Americanos on German TV and Relax on French TV. During February 2011, Johnson joined Jools Holland and his band for a version of the Animals' The House of the Rising Sun song, a track that Johnson covered on his Soulstream album. In August 2011, he performed a full set live at the Rewind Festival, using a mix of Frankie Goes to Hollywood songs together with some of his solo hits Americanos, Heaven's Here and Love Train. In May 2014, Johnson announced his first UK solo tour, named Dancing with No Fear. The 7-date tour was preceded by a new solo album, released on 15 September. The album, titled Europa, was preceded by a lead single, Follow Your Heart. The second single from Europa, In and Out of Love, was released on 4 September 2014 with a special pop promo directed by Chris Shepherd. In October 2014, Europa entered the UK album chart at #63, becoming Johnson's first album to chart in the UK since his debut Blast. In December 2014, Johnson released a live album, only available as merchandise during the tour, and his website titled Unleashed from the Pleasure at Home. In late 2015, Johnson co-wrote a song with Gary Barlow for the film Eddie the Eagle. The song Ascension was released in March 2016 as the focus track for the album Fly Songs inspired by the film Eddie the Eagle and appears on the end credits for the film. In 2018, Johnson appeared as himself in the Series 10 finale of the UK television series Binadorm, in what turned out to be the last episode of the show. Discography: studio albums, live albums, singles, guest appearances.